Hi everyone, we'd like to welcome you to Real Talk, and we are out here definitely in the back roads of Lawrence County on Hogan's farm with Mr. Danny Hogan. It's so good to be out here. How you doing, Mr. Hogan?
I appreciate y'all coming out and looking around.
You know what?
I think.
You think, you know, I'm excited to be out here in the shucking corn and stuff. Mr. Hogan, we want you to tell us a little bit about yourself and let the people know about your farm, because they're definitely going to get a bird's eye view about what you do every day.
Well, this year we plant corn, soybeans, peanuts, and that's pretty much it this year. We've ventured into several other crops over the years, but that's what we've got this year. We quit planting cotton about 3-4 years ago, sold a cotton picker, and don't think I'm going to plant any more cotton. So, but right now, corn is something I enjoy growing. The price of corn makes me not want to grow it right now. But I've done pretty good with corn the last few years, as long as it's under irrigation. And this year, I think a lot of corn's going to do well that's not under irrigation, but ordinarily, we feel like you need to plant corn under irrigation on the average year. But I've seen several crops of corn this year that's not under irrigation that look great in certain areas of the county.
Well, this here that we've already, am I pulling what do you call it?
Shucking it. I'm not sure what you're talking about.
I don't know when I'm pulling it off the stalk.
Okay.
I'm pulling corn?
Pulling corn off the stalk.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this corn looks good. Now, this is edible to me. I mean, this looks nice to
Well,
grill.
you can look in here, and when the corn's pollinated, each one of those silks pollinates a grain. And so you can tell this is pollinated real good. A lot of times on certain years, when it's real dry, or if you have too much rain and it rains the pollen out, you'll look on there and it'll be real skimpy and spotted.
Right.
But you can tell this is pollinated real good.
Oh, it looks beautiful.
And and it's right here on the end, so usually it pollinates better on out in the field.
Now, how long does it take? I mean, well, even though I grew up on a farm, Mr. Hogan, it's been a few years. So I'm a little rusty with my farm knowledge. So you're definitely the subject matter expert today.
I wouldn't go that far.
You're definitely going to be the subject matter expert for me and for the people out there.
James probably knows more about it than I do.
I think he does, because James is a certified farm boy, is what I have figured out. So tell us, how long have your family been farming?
Ooh, my family, I don't really know for sure, because my grandfather farmed this particular land, as a matter of fact.
Wow.
And so I don't know who before him may have farmed it.
As far as what you can recollect.
Well, I've been farming a little over 40 years,
yes,
probably
sir.
44, 45 years. And so, and then my father farmed, not this particular land, because this is land we rented from my uncle's estate.
Okay.
And but my father farmed the farm that we left a few minutes ago, and and he's been dead now somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 years.
Okay.
So that alone puts it on back several years.
Yes, it definitely does. Well, we definitely want to get a tour of your farm and find out some things that you definitely want to share with us, and then of course you're going to teach me some stuff, right?
I don't know. You may teach me some
Well, I'm
things.
thinking I'm pulling or shucking corn. I don't know the difference. But
since our founding, Roach Farm and Garden believes in some simple things: quality service, the best products for today's gardener, and the knowledge and experience it takes to make your next outdoor project a success. When you shop with us, we put you first. We guarantee excellence from our team and the best shopping experience. At Roach Farm and Garden, our heritage continues. We like to think of it as just doing business the right way. Roach Farm and Garden, serving you in 2 convenient locations.
Okay, Mr. Hogan, now we want you to explain this irrigation system here. Could you talk to us about that?
Yes, this is a rainbow irrigation system. Now, we had it rewired several years ago, but this system here is probably 35 years old.
Okay.
32 to 35 years old. But we had it rewired. We've added drops on it to help more efficient. At the time, about 6 years ago, we changed this over from diesel pump to a 3-phase electric.
And this is a well here?
This is a well that it comes right out of the ground right here, and that turbine's on top of it. 150 horsepower thing, and it was like a 200 horsepower diesel engine that pulled it. Don't know why it takes less horses with electric, but somebody else can probably explain that. But I kept arguing with the people, no, that's not going to be big enough because it took 200 of diesel. But anyway.
How much area does this cover?
This irrigation system right here covers somewhere around 120 acres.
Okay. And how often do you irrigate? Like,
depends on how much rain
you get.
And so they've got a lot of different techniques and on a lot of things. They say when the corn starts looking like it needs rain and starts folding up, you've waited too late to start irrigating. And on peanuts, there's certain things when they're pegging, that's when you really want to put the water to them and get a lot of pegs out. Okay. So there's certain times on different crops that you look for to try to figure out when's the ideal time and how often and how much to put and so forth. On corn, now when the corn is making, which is, say a week or two ago, this probably was at its crucial point.
Right.
It still needs water, but it's not as crucial as it has been.
Okay. Now, you were talking about this drop-down point. You know, I've seen them where they're up in the air. Right.
Well, a lot of them still are, but they're transferring them over and through conservation, through RC&D, NRCS, or whatever, a lot of times you can get some help, and they'll pay as much as 50%, 60% sometimes to change these over to drops because they're more efficient. And
you save water.
You save water. You save electricity because you got to pump more water if it's evaporating.
Right.
So it's a sort of a win-win for everybody when you can make things more efficient.
Right.
And the same way with this three-phase is much more efficient than diesel.
All right, we're out here with Coley. How are you doing, Mr. Coley?
I'm doing all right.
Now listen, can you explain to us what you're doing right now?
I'm finna clean the tip stock. I clean out about every tank full. The chemical we put out there, the tip was stopped up, so I'm trying to clean them out.
So you're cleaning out the tips right here.
Yes, ma'am.
And then what are you doing here? You're putting chemicals and water mixed in there?
Yeah, when I get through cleaning my tips out.
All right, well, let me see what you're doing. I'm going to watch you as you clean out the tips. And what is this doing for the, what does this do for the crops?
I'm killing weeds.
You're killing weeds.
That's what I'm doing.
Now, what type of problems do you normally have with the weeds?
Yeah, pig weeds and morning glory and sickness, cocker weeds, all that. We're trying to get them out because combine will do better when it gets real clean.
When there are no weeds out there. Okay. Now, you know I wanted to ride a tractor.
You do? I don't think you can get on there now.
All right, let's see what you're doing here. Now, do these tend to get clogged up, Mr. Coley?
Yep, sure do. Put it regular.
Okay. How often do you have to clean these out?
But different chemical, I don't have to clean them out that regular, but this kind of chemical, I clean them out pretty regular.
So once you clean them out, you're going to go back out there and finish?
Yep.
Now, how long have you been doing work out here on the Hogan farm?
About 27 years.
27 years? So you definitely know what you're doing here.
Sure do.
Now, how much is this covered? How much coverage does...
We try to do 20 acres to a tank full.
So 20 acres for every tank of this. And how often do you have to fill it up in order to do all of this section?
Don't take over 3 tanks to do this field on this whole place on this side.
About 3 tanks? Okay. All right, now let me clean out one. Does this have chemicals on it?
Yeah. But put it in the water, then it rinse
Now,
it
I took both pieces
out.
out.
Yeah, both of them come.
Okay.
Put it in the water.
Just put it in the water.
Rinse it.
Rinse it off. Yeah. Is that good right there?
Yeah, that's good. It go on there and over there.
Okay, wait a minute. Now look at this, Mr. Coley. There's like 3 pieces out.
All right, let me put it back for you. Got to go a certain way in there. Go that way.
There you go. That was the trick right there.
It will never go on that way.
I guess I wouldn't be a good assistant with this, would I?
You might.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Coley.
You're welcome.
Take me out to the ball game, the cry all over America and right here at home. Piggly Wiggly proudly salutes our favorite pastime. When you're headed out to the ballpark or on the way back home, stop by Piggly Wiggly, where you'll always get friendly, personal service in a clean and safe environment. Piggly Wiggly, a proud sponsor of our community. Now play ball!
All right, now tell us about these positions that you hold with the Conservation District Supervisor. Tell us about those.
Well, I'm David Green and myself are the two supervisors from Lawrence County. And we are an organization that is probably better covered in Georgia than just about anything because every county has at least 2 supervisors. Single county districts have as many as 5. So there's around 370 supervisors in Georgia. Now, like I say, David Green and I are the 2 supervisors from Lawrence County.
Okay.
And right now I happen to be president of GACDS, which is Georgia Association of Conservation District Supervisors.
Okay.
Which means the 370 supervisors have elected me as president. And I've been 2.5 years I've been president.
And what does that mean? I mean,
well, the different we'll have an annual meeting and we have what they call summer training. And as a matter of fact, in August we will have our summer training. And this year it will be in Athens. A lot of times we'll go to North Georgia because in the summertime it's so hot and we love to get to a cooler area. But this year it will be in Athens at the Continued Ed building. Now, in January, the end of January, 1st of February, I should know this, but I can't remember.
That's all right.
But we'll have our annual meeting. And at that time, Dan Bennett will become president of GACDS. He's vice president right now. Dan will do a lot better job than I've done. He's a sharp young man, and he believes in doing a good job, and I'm looking forward to him taking it over.
And what does that position entail as far as helping farmers out there and working, of course, definitely with conservation?
Well, the supervisor part, as far as David and I are concerned, we're supposed to help farmers know that the programs that are available or be able to help them with some of those programs. We one of the things we would push, since we're standing out in this area, is try to do more of the no-till or minimum tillage. This is what you would call minimum tillage here. As you can see, the wheat straw down in it.
Which is right down here.
Right. It helps conserve moisture and also saves you diesel because you don't have to till as much land.
Okay.
And so it keeps you from washing. You won't have as much erosion with the straw left on the ground. So this is just sort of a win-win situation.
Okay.
With all the chemicals we have nowadays, the first time I did some of this, Mr. Leroy Price was in our CS man. Oh, this has been 30-some-odd years ago, 38 years ago maybe. And he taught us into doing, back then we were doing what they call strip cropping. But the ASC programs at that time lended you to those kind of programs. Well, we were trying to set half the land aside, and you got to go with the different farm programs come out. You have to sort of adjust your farming to them.
Right.
And at that time, you were leaving, a lot of times, half the land out. And so strip cropping was a good thing. You plant half of it and leave about half of it out.
Right.
Then the next year, you'd rotate and plant the part you left out and so forth.
Okay.
Well, when they started planting what they call fence row to fence row, then that illuminated that. And so we're farming most of the land. You do still have set-aside programs, but you either plant it in grass or pine trees mostly.
Okay.
So right now we're I guess you'd say still in mode of planting fence row to fence row.
Right.
And so, but when you're doing that kind of thing, trying to conserve your moisture and your land and hold down erosion is very, very important. And that's some of the things that we promote. Now, as supervisors, that's what David and I would do. But now as GACDS president, I'm more concerned with the supervisors because I'm actually president of the supervisors.
Right,
the 370.
so you're monitoring what...
So that's a different game altogether. And so when they have district meetings and group meetings and so forth, it's not required that I go to all of them, but they kind of expect you and want you to be there.
Right.
And I was down at Dawson about a week and a half ago at one they had down there. Great meeting they had down there. I always learn a lot at them, but it takes a lot of time and a lot of time away from the farm. I tell people I farm. My son was telling me one day, says, I don't know why you tell them you farm. You're always gone.
Because farming requires a lot of time. Right. I'm learning that right now.
And so anyway, but the GACDS program is a lot different than just being a supervisor, because you aiming your time and so forth at a different group.
Okay.
But also I serve on the equine board with Farm Bureau. As a matter of fact, I'm president of Equine Committee, and I also serve on the Department of Agriculture Equine Committee. So between all of these meetings and so forth that we have, I do stay gone quite a bit. So I can't really argue with what my son tells me.
But you managed to get a little farming done.
A little bit. Every now and then.
Hello, I'm Darren Keene with Clements & Keene Insurance. We just finished up the open enrollment for the Affordable Health Care Act. We've been able to enroll hundreds of people in a new health insurance plan for them and their families. Please give us a call at 272-8019. You can continue to purchase insurance if you fall up under certain guidelines. Even though the open enrollment ended March 31st, you still have some options to buy. So please give us a call. Let us answer your questions and have a personal agent here in Dublin and Lawrence County. 272-8019.
Okay, Mr. Hogan, now tell us about something that really affects a lot of farmers, is this hog damage.
Well, as you can see, the tracks right here where hogs have come through here, and this is what we sort of do when we go around the cornfields. We look for tracks to see where they're going. I'm going to show you a place on the round in a minute where some of the damage. This is a place they just come through.
This is the trail.
This is one of the trails. And what we are learning is they may be 3-4 different groups of hogs, one in different locations. And what they were telling us in a meeting we were at here a couple of weeks ago is they may be one group of hogs coming in and feeding, say, at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
The next group may come in at something like 4 o'clock in the morning.
They take shifts.
And the next one may come in at 5:30. So when you're trying to capture those, they say the thing to do is get the last group first. In other words, the ones that come in, if you got them on camera and you know about what time they're coming, try to get the last group first and work backwards.
Well, what's a good remedy for this? You know,
That's one of the big problems. Nobody has got a great remedy. People have been trapping them, shooting them, whatever they could do. Now, this particular group of people that we were listening to last week seems to have come up with a solution that they think will work using military tactics.
Right.
And but there again, when you start putting up a lot of cameras and a lot of traps and having people staked out shooting them, it costs a lot of money.
Right.
Now, this is one of the things that the government has appropriated a certain amount of money to put toward illuminating or trying to control. This group that I went and heard talk, they said they don't talk about controlling. They talk about illuminating.
Right.
And so controlling just means you're going to get some of them.
Right.
Illuminating, you sort of wipe the problem out.
Right. Because
and most people tend to talk about control. And up to now, that's about the only thing was available.
Right.
So, but I'm going to show you something on around a little bit further. Just wanted to show you these tracks because this is a common place that they come through. There's another place down yonder that come through, but this is just convenient.
This is your little pathway.
Right.
Okay.
And this has been done since yesterday.
Oh, wow. All right, Mr. Hogan. All right, what are we looking at right here?
This is a cage that we had set up. Now, we hadn't put any fresh food in it right lately, but we've not had any luck on catching hogs in here, but most of these are educated because people have caught hogs in them.
Right.
And what we're learning is if you catch 1 or 2 hogs in them, the others see what happened and they don't participate.
Like a mousetrap, pretty much.
Right. If you see out in this corn, this is where they've gone through it. Now, this is right on the edge. If they've done a good bit of damage on the edge, you can bet there's a lot more further out in it.
They have trampled this.
They have trampled it, but what they'll do is this corn is making, as you can see, it's already got the roast mirrors on it. They'll go in there, and these hogs are so smart, they'll hit these stalks, lay them down, and eat the corn off of it.
Wow.
And so this is the kind of damage they do, and this is not a bad, I mean, it is bad too, but some of the damage I've seen is much, much worse than this.
I was going to ask you that. Like, what's the largest amount of damage that you've seen from these hogs with your crop?
Well, in one big area, it's not that bad, half acre at the most. But when you start adding these up and you got 10 or 15 different places like this, you start getting into a lot of acreage. And what a lot of people that don't farm or around farming don't understand the kind of economic damage that they do.
Right.
And what we have learned is that the deer will eat your soybeans completely up. Hogs will damage your corn a lot more.
Now, do you find more damage done by deer? Do you have more problems with deer, or hogs is the big thing for you and your crops?
Ooh. Right now, I'd say hogs are doing more damage on corn, but now we got a lot of deer around here, and they can eat up a soybean crop. The field of corn across the way over yonder was in soybeans 2 years ago. The back half of that field, the deer literally ate it slam up because there's a lot of woods on the other side of that. They could come out of those woods, eat the soybeans, and step right back in the woods. And so it'd be hard to say, depending on where you planted more corn or more soybeans, I would think. But hogs, for some reason, don't seem to get into the soybeans that bad.
This is their drug of
choice. This
choice.
is what they do. And for some reason, it doesn't seem like the deer hurt us nearly as bad on the corn. So it just depends on the crop as to what damage you get done, it seems.
And they've definitely done some damage. And
a
this
lot.
is just a tip of
This is just a little piece of it. But it shows you typically what they can do real easy. And they certain little hot spots all around the field. This was just easy to get to.
And look, it's right by the trap.
Well, we brought the trap over here because of that. And two, they've got trees and woods behind us over here. That's what down in that ditch, there's water stays in that ditch a good bit.
And they like being near that water.
They like to stay close to the water, and they like cover of woods, and they like plenty of groceries. So,
and they've
got
it.
Me.
Hi, I'm Mike Ville, owner of MPHI. If you or a loved one suspect or have been told that you have mold in your home or business, please give me, Mike Ville, a call at MPHI. I'm a member of the American Industrial Hygiene Association, our nation's leader for public health challenges. Mold, lead, air quality health issues, call Mike Ville, MPHI.
Mold can grow anywhere there's a source and moisture. If you have moisture in your home or water standing underneath your home or business, call MPHIS. If your family is experiencing problems such as headaches, sinus problems, even nosebleeds due to poor air quality or mold, call MPHIS. Don't delay, call today or log on to MPHIS.com.
Helping to protect and improve your family's health. For MPHI, I'm Mike Ville.
All right, Mr. Hogan, now tell us about this irrigation system that comes out through this pond.
All right, as you can see, we use this pond as a reservoir. And this water pumps out through this underground pipe, 8-inch pipe, goes up on top of the hill to a pivot. Then we put it under the road, and we got one across the road over there. So, so this pipe right here actually goes to 2 pivot systems.
Okay.
And comes out of the pond. Now, if you look right over here to this other side, we got a well that we just dug about 2 years ago. And we started off going to drill a 8-inch well so we could come straight out of the ground and hook it into everything and pump it straight out of the ground. Well, when they dug the well, they couldn't get enough flow, and they could only get enough for a 6-inch well. So we decided to back up a little bit and make a 6-inch well out of it. We can pump straight out of the ground, as you can see, and go over to the little short pivot. There's enough water coming out of the ground that we can run the short pivot. There's not enough water to pump through this 8-inch pipe going to the 2 long pivots. So what we do when we're irrigating on the short pivot, we come straight out of the ground and go over there. When we're not, we just run it into the pond and let it run like 24 hours a day, 7 days a week when we're needing it. And then if we don't need that much, then, and so far it is, you can see the pond, and we've irrigated at least 6 or 7 times this year. And you can see the pond's in pretty good shape, and we're not even pumping water right now.
How much coverage does this system cover?
To irrigate?
Yes.
Well, let's see, probably about 115 or 20 acres right now. We've got a pad over yonder that we can do a half circle, and we could put another little short pivot. We're just not 100% sure we're going to do that. We intended to when we run the pipe over there.
Right.
But right now, when it's really dry and we're not getting any rain, we got our hands full trying to water
this thing is
so
definitely pumping, yes.
So I don't know if we need to spread it out any thinner or not.
Right. Exactly.
So,
okay, so you're closing that.
I'm closing this one so it's going to force the water to go on down yonder.
Okay, and this is completely open.
It'll take it.
Pushing it through.
Right. It'll take it a minute or two to get the pipe full. But in a minute you'll see it coming out down yonder. We've got an underground pipe that goes on up yonder, so what it'll have to do is fill that pipe up all the way up there, and then before it comes up.
Get to that.
So it'll probably take maybe 2 minutes or so. It'll be nice and cool if you come up here when that water's going through it.
Oh, wow.
It'll be, especially on a hot day.
Right.
But we're on the tail end of irrigating now, so we got plenty of water if I don't run this anymore. Maybe a little water coming out now, and it'll just get stronger and stronger and stronger. And then when you see water coming out the end gun down yonder, that's when it's getting built up pretty good.
Wow.
But see, now that one has drops on it like we talked about up at Dudley.
And so it saves water, it conserves water.
And so with the drops on it, if it was coming out of the top, you could see at the time it started. With those drops on it, you can't hardly see from here what's going on, but you'll see that end gun shooting out if nothing else. We've just got a system in this year, as a matter of fact, where we can put nitrogen or chemicals out through our irrigation.
With the water here.
With the water. And this is an injector right here where we fasten it on. We moved this thing yesterday, as a matter of fact, and put it in the barn. But it'll clamp on there, and you can inject 20, 25 units of nitrogen on each time. And what we'll do is turn it on like 90 to 100%. Let it come on around, put the nitrogen in, then turn the nitrogen off and wet it back in, put a half inch or so more on it again. So that's what I did over the weekend. It's getting late to be putting nitrogen on, but we having a little trouble with it, and we just got the thing fixed and ready to go again.
So the difference with this is where you put the chemicals in through here, where Coley was actually putting it in.
Well, there's only a few chemicals you can do through there. Now, you can put nitrogen out, but there's only a few chemicals. What we've learned is Roundup is not a good one to go through there. What we hadn't learned, but research has learned. And there are some chemicals you can, but you got to be real careful, because that water, even at 100%, will weaken it down so much they won't do a good job. And so you got to be careful. And we did it more for the nitrogen aspect than we did the chemicals. Now we're going to do a little more research on the chemicals as time go on. But as expensive as they are, you don't want to do a lot of experiment with that. Let the experiment station do that.
Salvation Army Family Store is located at 1617 Telfair Street in Dublin, Georgia. We have all kind of great items in our store. We've got clothes, we have gowns, we have ties, we have shoes, furniture, mattresses, household goods, just about anything you can imagine we have. On top of that, our prices are super low. Just about anybody can afford the things that we have in our store. We're also looking for donations. We need your items so we can continue to help the community. If it's too big for you to bring, then give us a call at 478-275-7336 and we'll arrange to come pick it up. The Salvation Army is a community organization that we help people with clothing and food items. We help with furniture and rent assistance. We help during disaster times. We help with just about anything we can. We take the proceeds from the sale of our store and we use that money in our programs here in Dublin and Lawrence County. Our hours are Monday through Saturday from 9 to 5. The Salvation Army Family Store, 1617 Telfair Street, Dublin, Georgia.
This is a chart that shows you, and this tells you percent of the timer setting. See, if you set it on 20%,
20%.
It takes 36 hours for it to make a complete revolution.
Oh, wow.
All right, you'll be putting out 0.78 inches of water. That's provided you have no loss as far as evaporation. And see, that gives you, if on a very sunny day or overcast day, it just sort of gives you something to go by to know how much loss you've got.
But, so if you're talking
Let's go down to 30%.
Okay.
So you're talking about, in other words, 0.52 inches on a real sunny, windy day down to 0.39.
Right.
So you're talking about somewhere around, what, 0.13 hundredths of an inch that you've lost in wind and evaporation. So that may not sound like a lot, but when you do that 24 hours a day, then you get into a lot of...
That's a lot of water.
But how you set your percentage is right here. And that, see, that's on 20%.
Right.
And then you can look at your chart. You can tell about how long it's going to take you to go.
You set it all right here.
Set it all right here. This is chicken manure, and we use it for fertilizer. On a good analysis, you would expect it to run like a 3-3-3. That's what we try to shoot for: 3% nitrogen, 3% phosphorus, 3% potassium. Most chicken litter runs higher in phosphorus than it does potassium. So what's going to happen is when you put this on a field for 2 or 3 years in a row, more than likely, because your soil test is going to tell you when and where, more than likely you're going to want to come back and get some chemical fertilizer that is high in phosphorus to make up for, high in potassium to make up for the over amount of phosphorus you're putting out.
Now this chicken litter, do you get it? You get it tested first to make sure that it is in.
Every load that comes in, we have weighed, and we also send off, take it over to Raymond Joyce, and they send it off and have it analyzed. And so we get a test back on each one.
Right.
Now, at the time, a lot of times when we're in a tight, now this we're not going to put out for several months.
Right.
And
really, this stays. Right?
This will stay here because the only thing we could put it out on right now is pasture. And so I think, as I was telling you a while ago, I think there's 156 tons here we bought about a week or 10 days ago. So this will be under here, and as long as the sun don't hit it, and the rain can't leach it out, it'll stay pretty potent. Now, you're going to lose at least 50% of your nitrogen, they say.
Right.
So when you're analyzing that into it, I know Glenn Waller from over at Sandersville's had a lot more, or Tennell, he's had a lot more experience than I have.
Right.
He's been using it like 20-some-odd years.
How long have you been using it?
Probably only about 9 or 10 years. So I'm a newcomer to it, I reckon you'd say. But anyway, Glenn tells me, and I listen to it, he's a good farmer, and he also does a lot of experiment station work with the University of Georgia on soybeans, if you know Glenn. But anyway, Glenn's very outspoken, and he'll tell you what he thinks real quick.
Right.
And I think a lot of Glenn. He's also a supervisor from over in that area.
Okay.
So he's one of the 370 that we were talking about.
One of the
earlier.
370. Okay.
And so, but Glenn's had a lot more experience than I have, and he said he counts the nitrogen in chicken litter as 0. Now I do. In my mind, I count it as being of some value, but I don't put a lot of value. The experiment station or Raymond tells me to figure it about 50%. So if you got 3 pounds on your analysis, don't figure over 1.5 pounds, or maybe even a pound, something like that.
Chicken litter.
Chicken litter.
It's very potent.
I don't even smell it.
You're immune to it.
I reckon so.
Since our founding, Roach Farm and Garden believes in some simple things: quality service, the best products for today's gardener, and the knowledge and experience it takes to make your next outdoor project a success. When you shop with us, we put you first. We guarantee excellence from our team and the best shopping experience. At Roach Farm and Garden, our heritage continues. We like to think of it as just doing business the right way. Roach Farm and Garden, serving you in 2 convenient locations.
She's beautiful, Mr. Hogan. Now tell us about the committee you're on with the equine.
Well, at the present time, I'm chairman of the Equine Committee on Farm Bureau, and I serve on Gary Black's Equine Committee with the Department of Agriculture. And on the Georgia Farm Bureau, they've had an equine committee or a horse committee for, I think we decided about 35, 36 years, and there's only 2 of us still living that was on the original committee that was put on it back then. Ann Jones, a lady from up in Hall County, is still living, and I'm the other one.
You're the other one. So what does that committee do? What do you?
One of our projects is to advise Zippy Duval and the board of directors on things that we think is important to do on horses, and when they go and campaign for different things, we try to advise them what we think needs to be done for the horse industry. And also what we've done the last few years, and we had a horse sale for 4-H kids for, I think it was 16 years in a row, and I think we raised like $180-something thousand for them.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we try to, and right now what we're doing, selling chances on a saddle to raise money. It was an interesting thing. We sold chances for a saddle a year ago. We raised $1,400 by selling chances on the saddle.
What is chances on the saddle?
Well, a raffle. In other words, you buy. I think we sold them for $5 a ticket, or 5 for $20.
Right.
So anyway, we sold 1,400 and change on that. The guy that won it, his son used the saddle like 3 or 4 times, and we were down at the annual meeting down at Jekyll Island, and he donated the saddle back. He said he wanted us to raise money for the kids again.
Oh,
so
that's awesome.
Now we're in the process of getting ready to sell tickets on the same saddle. Hopefully we'll raise more than $1,400 this go round.
Absolutely. Now, how many horses do you have here on your farm?
Probably 26 or 27. I'd have to take inventory. We had one born, and we sold it last weekend. So, and we got a couple of people looking at some others. So, they come and go. They don't come and go as quick as they used to.
Right. Now, how long have you had her?
I raised her. She's out of my stud and my mare.
How old is she now?
She is now 6 years old.
6 years old, and she feels so nice.
She is nice.
Feels so nice.
She's probably one of the nicer horses we've raised.
And what type horse is this?
It's quarter horse.
Quarter horse.
Mostly what we've got is quarter horses. I think we got 3 paints, but and we got 1 big draft horse who's a Percheron.
Okay. You know, this has been such a very interesting day being out here on the Hogan farm, and Mr. Hogan, we certainly appreciate you letting us come out here.
Appreciate y'all coming.
You know, I've learned a lot myself personally.
I
I've been, I say I was, born and raised on a farm, but I've been a little bit rusty through the years. I've realized that. And, and what's been awesome is just so much that we've learned, what you've taught us and shared with us, how important farming is, how serious you take what you do, and how necessary it is for us to definitely support farmers, and you do great things out here.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
And
I think it's important that we try to let people know what the farmers are doing.
Absolutely.
Most people see farmers sitting on the front porch with a big glass of lemonade and not doing anything.
Whittling a stick. Whittling.
That's not the way it is on the farm.
It's definitely not. And I'm sure after you watch this show, you'll definitely see that it's more to it than sitting on a porch drinking some sweet tea.
I'm telling you.
All right. Thank you so much,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Hogan. We thank you all so much for joining us on Real Talk, and please keep watching.